to the LEC and Excel versus Team Vitality. Two teams who kicked off Spring Split with a win yesterday. Upset is back, and is Vitality the real deal now?
Honestly, off of this, if we only look at this one game sample size, then you know they're winning worlds. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, they're undefeated.
They're undefeated, exactly. No one's beaten them, so it means that you know T1 hasn't beaten them, EDG Top Esports hasn't beaten them. No, but to the serious point, I think yesterday the fact that we saw the Caitlyn, the Heimerdinger, I love that. I think that already showed you know that they've patched up some of the issues they had on the bottom side. I think cohesiveness looked good, but we saw some good regular split games from Vitality. As well in Winter Split, so maybe too soon to tell.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like Vitality were not a bad team by any means last split, right? Like top in leaderboards in the BO1s, and sort of flubbed it a bit in the BO3s. But I think that what yesterday showed us, and what we already know we can expect from Upset from years past, is that now Vitality are a team with threats in every single lane, right? Like Photon, all-pro team on the top side, Upset now coming in next to Kaiser as well. Like that is just an excellent duo lane on paper, and with the limited practice time they've had together, they looked pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, the Deutsche bot lane, as we called them with Kaiser yesterday, on the verge of becoming maybe one of the best bot lanes we're going to have in the LEC Yamato, and yeah, a team scary on every side of the map.
No, for sure. I think just being able to be so flexible in the meta is so important because we don't know what the patches are going to bring. And when I think of Upset, I don't think that I would pigeonhole him into anything. I think he's ready. He's played the Draven, he's played the Aphelios, he's played the Kate. Whatever is going to be necessary in order to come into a draft with the most amount of power, I know that Upset is going to be able to deliver.
It's super important that you stay flexible. Also with the way that so many games played out in the Winter Split, it was all about the bot lane, right? Like 2 versus 2, jungle priority there. So I think it was really important to Vitality to compete with the best bot lanes here in EMEA to compete at the top level. They needed to bring in someone like Upset that I think has proven that track record in the past, and now Vitality I think are a serious threat to go very deep.
Yeah, and still looks to be the lane with the most impact we have for now, given the patch. But before we focus a bit more on the teams, I wanted to talk a bit about Gragas, a champion we've seen in every game yesterday, banned in game 1. I think it's going to be a pick we want to focus on again today, Ender.
Yeah, this is a champion that the flexibility it provides, combined with the solo lane power, whether it's neutralizing top lane matchups, just being a lane you can gank around in mid or roam to sides, jungle as well as a good option. Like, this guy can just do a little bit of everything, and that makes it such a power pick in the draft, not to mention just how strong it is, Yamato.
For sure. I think the fact that when a team picks Gragas 1, 2, 3, the 4-5 bans almost become completely nullified because it's so hard to target anything specific. And to begin to talk about what he does in-game. His E cooldown is way too low, becomes more durable off of AP on his W, has a fantastic passive, good clear. His ultimate can be used to disengage, engage. The fact that he looks like that and he's just so adaptable and flexible and mobile, it's crazy to me, it's crazy.
He's got the moves.
He's got the moves. I'm so jealous.
I mean,
I ain't got no moves.
It's a champion we've seen every year. Always one of the strongest champions, I feel, in every meta. With Excel playing on blue side, today, maybe a ban expected on the side of Vitality here.
Yeah, well, I was really surprised in game 1 to see it being banned on blue side, as a matter of fact, and then going to the Sejuani first pick. I don't think that's something that will continue. I think this will be a very common red side ban in the future. If teams, you know, get clued into the idea that, hey, it was picked 5 times yesterday, maybe we should start removing this from the field of play because it just looks very, very strong. So yeah, I'd love to see it in Excel's hands. I'd love them to show that they're willing to flex around too, because that's the only holdup I think with maybe some teams that might shy away from playing it is like, oh, are our mid laners ready to play it too? Because like junglers always have had to play the Gragas. Top lane too for like the last year been very popular up there as well. So if teams are willing to flex that into the mid lane role as well, that becomes a triple threat. And that's not even talking about maybe support in the future.
Waiting for Xayah to pick its support, and maybe it's going to come in the support role as well. I remember these two teams clashing in the last day of regular season, last split in a 50-minute banger that some people would say Excel should have won, but...
Yeah, I can't believe they lost the game. I still...
The greatest thing about that game, Photon smurfed on Gragas. He was absolutely insane. The barrels were flying, and Photon showing his Gragas was fantastic in that game. I remember Vetheo had the monster play on Rise. You know, that was so kind of bittersweet as an ending, because EXO showed some good potential in that one.
And it is two teams who made changes within their lineups. And when I interviewed Hansama yesterday, he was telling me that Vitality is the team who's going to benefit the most from making changes. Of course, of course, bringing Upset back on the bot lane. But on the side of Excel, with the game we saw yesterday, I feel like we're starting to see a team finally and players clicking together. And coming in with a real game plan.
That was a really good debut for them. At the same time, I still am like holding out full belief in Excel, right? They were able to take down Fnatic that also made a lot of changes within their roster. We know they have the talent, but has the couple of weeks that they've had to sort of continue to gel together, work in the new player, has it paid off? That I think it's a little bit too early to call.
I think that they had a draft that made a very simple game plan play out. At some point, Victor's going to come online. I think Odoamne had a fantastic game where he snowballed very hard with the Kayssante. I think the key thing there is that they had the Annie, the Gragas. I think that the team fights kind of played themselves. If they're going to be able to be challenged there and the game is more intense, maybe in the early game, how are they going to look when there's a lot more contention in what their game plan is going to be in their draft?
I think that's a great point too, because I think one of the main problems that I saw in early days Excel back in Winter Split was they were playing like very complicated comps, or they were playing like comps like very narrow win conditions, right? A lot of like this RE Vi, and it's like, oh, we need to make plays around mid lane, and then they just weren't. And then they'd wonder why they're getting outscaled and why these things are happening. So if that's sort of a mindset change as well with Excel coming into this split, where it's like, have the team fights that play themselves, like, I think that is a very welcome change for this team to hit the ground running.
It's going to be really interesting to see this improved, hopefully, version of Excel. Before we get onto the Rift, we want to say that we're experiencing some client issues on stage. League officials are currently trying to get all the players into the lobby, and we will hit the Rift in a few minutes. Quick hit on Excel still. Targamas versus Limit. I'm really happy to see Limit back in the league. I know that some fans had some mixed feelings about the fact that Targamas was replaced, but I mean, seeing the roams he did yesterday, a couple misplays on the bot lane early game, but still a good fit for Excel so far.
I think the key thing for me was missing for Excel is that I think the players, we have a lot of takers, but not a lot of givers. I think having players that are willing to commit their resources into other side of the map, this is what their players are kind of more used to. When I think of Vetheo, when he had the greatest success was when Mersa and Zlatan or Zanzara was around mid lane, giving him that attention. I hope that we see this development with Excel, where they kind of play around the 3v3 mid, and we get to see some of those performances where Vetheo takes advantages and actually takes over games.
Yeah, that old Misfits MO was just so much about playing through the mid side, and I think that like in the past, like this XL team, that was sort of what I was expecting to see with them go for heading into the Winter Split, but it didn't end up happening. At the same time, I think that like Odo, even in the losses, especially in Winter Split, had some very standout games as well. So like topside, I don't think is a real issue for Excel whatsoever. So I think that maybe a little bit more mid lane focused, soul lane focused when it comes to the team fights as well is a good look, good direction for Excel.
Yeah, I agree. And Excel, when you think about the fact that they stopped after week 3, they had a lot of time to rebuild in that sense, which is not the case for Vitality. And I remember Upset was talking in Euphoria about the fact that he joined the team rather late, didn't have a lot of opportunities to scrim with the team. But when you look at the way they came in strong and clutch against Mad Lions yesterday, and Kaiser talking about communication improving within the team, expecting them to be even stronger in spring this time.
I think what's so great about Upset, which most people don't see because it's more how he works within a team, I think he's very, very clear in what he wants to achieve in the game. When he picks a champion, I think the conditions for his teammates are very set. And I think that direction goes such a long way, because sometimes Vitality lacked that direction. Unless the draft was completely won, which happened in many cases, it happened yesterday too. I think that when there was contention around the mid game, the late game, when things went super clear, I think they were very fond of taking decisions that elevated risk for no reason. And I think Upset is the type of player that is going to definitely cage the mechanical prowess that Vitality has, and definitely make it more precise when it comes into the later stages, because I think Upset is a player that can definitely view the game through the lens of his champion and how that champion needs to interact with the game to actually win. And this is so, so important. And this is what, to me, defines an elite level player, how they can communicate and make everyone involved in a plan that is going to take you all the way. And I think this is a very, very big talent that Upset has.
Oh yeah, and that sort of speaks to how he can carry, especially like the long-term success of this roster. You know, once he has more time to integrate. But I also think that like in terms of like roles, when you have limited time to bring someone in, like AD carry is one of the easier roles to integrate within a team. Like maybe there's some concern around how does the bot lane gel, how does that duo work? But you heard Upset and Kaiser speaking yesterday about, hey, we actually like worked pretty well together. We sort of naturally picked up and had similar ideas of how they view a lot of matchups, and they want to talk that through. So I think once you can sort of sort that out in the short term, which they seem to have done, there's no real concerns, and then you can just build, bring in the expertise to reframe how the team thinks about the game.
I think another key detail that I found, what's his name, Kaiser's secret account. So I know how much he spams the game. He spams so much.
Just a detective.
Plays so much solo queue. I know also Upset. It's like I was always watching the Champions Queue games, and he was always playing against Bo or with Bo. They've been like Upset has been so involved in the game, and he's been practicing so hard. Even though he hasn't been competing, he's been
he's been getting massages.
He's been basically
that is real team building.
He's marinating to be ready to play on stage. You know, and now he's good to go. You know, just put him on the hot steak, and you know it's gonna pop off. You know, that's just Upset.
I want to take a step back a bit and look at these two teams and the disappointment maybe they faced in winter. When you think of Excel, I still remember the opening video, 5th, not this time. They ended up 10th in the end.
We did it, guys.
Yeah, they did it. Vitality as well, coming in with like an ambitious roster last year and even more this year. Who's got the biggest pressure when you look at these two teams showing up in spring?
Well, I would say, like, expectations-wise, Vitality have the most pressure.
Yes.
Like, bringing Upset in, like, this roster is stacked. This is a roster that, at minimum, is trying to make it all the way to the finals. But at the same time, I think that Excel had the much bigger disappointment, right? Like, Vitality did fine in the BO1s, lost a couple of BO3s. Like, I don't think that's the end of the world for that team. Excel, on the other hand, if you don't make top 8, like, what are you doing? Like, this is not like a half thrown together roster, you know, cooked to the last second. Like, these are legit players on the team, and to not make it into top 8 minimum is just shocking. It shocked me last split, and if it happened again, I don't even know what I would do.
If I look at the winter split through the lens of Upset, who was sitting on the bench and waiting, I feel like the winter split was pretty much just a big advertisement in terms of what went down. Fnatic is having a super hard time. Vitality was having a hard time. We saw also Mad Lions in terms of their AD carry position. Kazi was really struggling in the later best of 5s in the season, and everyone was just calling out for Upset to come back in. So that comes with a lot of pressure because it has been basically bubbling the whole split. When will Upset play? And I think that kind of weight, you know, that's tough to deal with for sure.
When you look at the coach perspective, Yamato especially, maybe you've been in this situation before. How do you manage expectations from the players when you come back from a disappointing split, either of this team? What is the angle to work on and to prep the players in the best way?
I think always what I try to do is look at the lens through, like, basically, eventually you're going to be playing your last game in the season. So everything that you do needs to be in preparation for that. How you approach practice, how you approach the matches as well, because eventually every team is going to play the last game of the season, and that is where you get tested, whether that's at the World Championship, or that is in the playoffs, or that is going to be only in the regular season. However that looks, you need to be able to manage that pressure and also deliver a product that actually makes sense. So you need to always take these decisions that, are you going to work for the long term or the short term, depending on where you are in the standings, pretty much.
Do you think that mindset, like, still can truly apply now? Because I definitely see that in, like, the longer seasons of past with the old format, where you have, like, at least 8 weeks to sort of, like, get something going. But nowadays, when you have the risk of maybe after 9 games, after 3 weeks, you're eliminated, do you think you can still have that idea? Or is there more of, like, a time crunch to get it right off the bat?
I think it depends entirely on where you're at. So if you're in a situation where you're 3-0 in the first week, or you get a couple of wins, keep in mind it's top 8. So it's bottom 2. You need to fall very far down in the standings in order to put yourself in a position where you're eliminated. Koya is a good example of last split. They kind of, narrowly qualified. They got 4 wins in the regular split, and then they made it all the way up to top 3. So how you pace yourself out and how you make those decisions. Should we practice new things? Should we expose ourselves to new ideas, or should we band-aid and try to deliver each weekend? You need to kind of find the perfect balance. Sometimes we saw G2 lose a couple of games because they tried the Taliyah and a Swain lane and look kind of wonky. But I think that level of experimentation, they created a circumstance that allowed them to experiment that way. And I think finding the perfect balance to prepare yourself for the last game that you play is super, super important.
And that's the thing also, having to reset between one split and the other, given the fact that we just had like 1 week off, is going to be really difficult maybe for some teams. But quick reminder that if you're just joining us now, we're experiencing some client issues on stage before Vitality versus Excel. League officials are trying to get all players in the lobby as soon as possible, which gives us some time to talk about the meta for a bit. We previewed some champions yesterday. We saw most of them, I think, in-game, talking about Annie, Aurelion Sol, Gragas also, Lee Sin. Any surprises so far on your side?
Any surprises?
Vigar also, the game before.
I mean, I feel like not really...
It's scaling, I think.
Yeah. A lot of scaling. I don't think I was like super surprised by any of the picks. I think I was like pleasantly surprised, like seeing the Aurelion Sol pop out, having the ability to sort of like scale up and become an absolute monster. Even just some of the roams there on the Aurelion Sol were able to wipe up across the map. So I think that overall, like seeing 100% on Annie, Ashe, Gragas, not super surprising considering when you looked around the rest of the world, that is a very similar story.
100%. I think something that was interesting was the Mad Lions Cho'Gath flex. I think even though contextually, that was a very, very rough game. I think that's something that has a lot of potential, especially if you put yourself in a situation where you try to find the next Gragas. If you can't pick Gragas, this is a champion that can go mid, can go top, and I think it provides a lot of good utility and can cheat a lot of matchups. Maybe we'll one day get to that position where we'll see the Senna Cho'Gath as well. I know that Labrov loves the Senna. I could see a situation where Crownie maybe plays Cho'Gath. I think that champion has a lot of potential just because of the kit.
Different build than the one Xayah played, though. Anyway,
yeah, just a little bit different. I was gonna say it is fun seeing Nisqy sort of carry on the wackiness of Winter, because he played like almost a new champ every single game, was very experimental. Now again, it's Cho'Gath into the Veigar, so he's cooking those wacky mages in the mid lane, which I definitely love.
I see two picks becoming very strong and powerful here in Spring, Gragas and Aurelion Sol mostly. We didn't see the champion enough, but any ideas on how you can fight these champions? Because again, we saw the Cho'Gath from Nisqy yesterday. I think it's a good lane option, but in terms of scaling, there's nothing you can do against this champion. So I want to have your take on how to deal with Aurelion Sol in the later stages of this.
I think the main thing for me is I think Aurelion Sol, he really fulfills the mage fantasy of scaling late into the game and really, really dominating. I think that the main contrast and why we might not see it in the LCK as much or in the LPL as much is because I feel like the games have gotten so much faster. Everything is about that first Drake. You kill it in the 5 to 6 minute window, and then you transfer over to Herald, and then all of a sudden the second Drake spawns. And all these games kind of finish right at that point where you finish 2 items. And I think the key thing is, when we look at the champions that are being played around mid, we see a lot of the Gragas, these champions that like to buy Road of Ages. The Catalyst really is such a strong lane item, and you just have these champions that can fight early and put yourself in that position where you create a soul condition, of course, at 22 minutes. We saw it with Astralis. We saw G2 whole last split. I think T1 is a team that does it so well. I think the fact that the games are so much faster, that is where things become tricky for Aurelion Sol. But if you drop a Drake against Aurelion Sol, or you're off tempo, or something goes wrong, all of a sudden you are fighting against a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a pick where it's like, okay, there are certain teams you're going to know when you go up against them. It's like, oh, maybe they're a little bit slower to close things out. Maybe they don't play super aggressively around the Drakes early on.
Or if you're an LCS.
Yeah, sure, there you go. Slower game times over there. You play the Aurelion Sol and you're going to have a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, we'll discuss a bit more about the meta later, but again, reminder, if you're joining us, we're experiencing some client issues on stage before the game Vitality versus Excel. And while we're waiting for the players to get into the lobby, let's listen into the latest episode of Pop Quiz. We'll be right back after.
So first one. It's like Infernal Map spawning.
Can you repeat? I know the song. I mean, I know probably every song of the game, but...
This is like, I heard it so many times.
Ciao, Shotowat. Bro, what is it?
I know it. Morgana Q.
Morgana Q?
Morgana Q.
Correct.
I didn't know it makes such a big sound in the beginning.
Second one.
Is that Udyr?
It's like someone fighting something, no?
Is it like Gnar transforming into like Mega Gnar?
I think it's Twisted Fate.
Once again, please. Oh. Correct? Blue?
Then Herald.
What the hell is that? Is it Nidalee?
I have no guess. Rengar.
I have a theory. Grump spawn. Oh my god! Okay, there's no one anyone guessed this.
That's Grump spawning.
Grump spawning.
Grump spawn?
Grump spawning. Really thought it was Grump spawning in the beginning, and then it sounded like a dragon hatching or something like. I was whoa, that was crazy.
All right, next one.
What is that? I have no clue.
I heard this sound before.
Yeah, I do recognize it. I do recognize it actually.
That's probably gonna be really obvious. Okay, ability item environment. Environment? Is it Elder Dragon?
It's the map that changes.
Nashor spawning.
Can I get it again?
Oh. Okay, Samira E.
I don't know.
I'll give you a tip. It's a champion ability.
Belveth?
Belvis?
Rengar? Q.
It sounds like Brand, but I don't know.
I don't know, K'Sante ult? Okay, K'Sante ult.
Is it Cassandra? I know that's not because every time I hit I die, actually.
Yeah, okay.
I would have failed miserably here, but
Cassandra
no surprises
sounds.
here. No, but that's the thing. We were mentioning it yesterday.
He shouts
and
when he does
Yeah, he
this
shouts
ultimate.
when he does it. Yeah, and the fact that we just hear the going
unfair.
through the wall thing. Yeah, it threw me off. Ender, well, how would you have that?
Usually I'm really good at those pop quiz things, but I don't know. Maybe I listened to my music like way too loud because none of those. I got absolutely none. I was like, maybe Rek'Sai on the Kazante. I'm a Rek'Sai like main, and I had no idea.
I thought Mountain Drake. It sounded like Scaly in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Mountain Drake
or like
spawning.
the Baron.
But I guess like Mountain Drake on half of those, but none of them were Mountain Drake. So I suck at sounds. Deaf. Tone deaf.
Tone deaf. All right. Back on game topics, maybe here, and the meta, as we were talking about. We will see Yumi maybe later in the patches. Not for now. We're free.
Finally.
We are free. We had like a good 3 weeks of Yumi the last time that
that's true.
we would bring it back. But is there anything that you've seen in other regions, maybe because I know you watch also other regions, that you expect to see in the LEC? As we only had 2 days. I mean, 1 day and 1
Well,
game
I'm personally
so
really
far.
excited to see Gecko locked in finally. Once we once we
Okay,
get
back on
booted
League
up
of
with-
Legends.
I want to see. I want to see people run it down with Lee Sin. That kind of
Yes,
excites
thank
me.
you.
I think Lee Sin is something that is difficult to play, and it really centers the game around 3v3 mid. And I hope that the meta moves in that direction. I want to see Annie, Lee Sin. I want to see LeBlanc, Lee Sin, and I want them to completely fail and be completely useless. And I want them to be called sinners. I really want to see that.
Now,
Lee Sin
wait.
flex or bait?
I want to ask
Okay.
though, are you a based Lee Sin flex enjoyer?
Yeah.
Oh.
You
That's what
like
I'm
him in
talking
solo
about.
lanes?
I think you just need hands. You just really need hands to play Lee Sin.
Right, so it's off the table for Vetheo.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, we've definitely seen Lee Sin played in mid and top.
Yeah.
I saw Champions Q. I saw Niski play Lee Sin. It wasn't a good look,
Oh.
but
Sorry,
you know,
Niski.
God bless him. You know,
He's a Cho'Gath main, Veigar main, like press R.
That's
You
true.
gotta understand.
Easy though.
I just saw that game in Champions Cube. I think Lee Sin as a champion, just if you put yourself in positions where you early skirmish, I think that you can do well. There's this gadget copy pasta where he basically says, in early game, Lee Sin does a lot of damage. He's very strong in skirmishes. In mid game, he has a lot of playmaking because of his kick. In late game, you can kick your coach because you picked your Lee Sin.
I mean, yeah, if the game lasts too long, then yeah,
Yes.
it's a really good one, actually. I always think that the game is in his most healthy state when you have Lee Sin and Thresh enabled in the game. And all about Thresh, this is a champion we're seeing a bit more right now, but the Earth version of Thresh, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
but-
I was gonna say maybe the new Thresh is a little bit too fun to watch because
Yeah.
this guy's throwing out Qs every 2 seconds. It's wild.
I really like Thresh. I think it's just a champion that is fun to watch. I like the direction that they want to make Thresh into a champion that maxes Q, and it feels valuable to do so because the Lantern Thresh was quite boring. I remember the Lantern Thresh, you just play for late game with Jinx, and then
The
she gets
meta Thresh,
excited.
I call it, yeah.
The attack the enemy Thresh. I really like that version, but it definitely opens up for more mistakes. You look very silly when you miss the hook and you're just standing there still
Yeah.
and you get CC'd and you die. But that's no risk, no fun.
We're talking about bot lane. I would like to have like Mr. Expert bot lane to join us. GB. Entering the game.
Come in.
You want my chair?
While we
You
wait
have to
for him to
carry your
walk
own
in.
chair. Okay, nice.
So
Okay,
I've
we'll
actually
make-
been
we'll make
informed
space for you.
that the
Come sit in my lap.
Yeah.
reason the game hasn't started is because... Hold on, I'm trying to make a point over here. The reason the game has not started yet is because Twitch chat has not proven that they can count to 100.
Oh my God.
So I'm watching right now. I'm hoping that we can just sort of, again, show the LEC production that we can do that. We, passed second grade math, and then we can actually go ahead and start our second match of the day.
Anyway, GB, we're having a meta talk. And,
Yeah, sorry, what are we talking about?
We were talking bot lane and the fact that Thresh is busted right now, and that the queue.
He doesn't look very busted right now from what we've seen, does he?
In the LEC, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, in the LEC, but we had just. Like,
Okay, yeah, so specifically from solo queue, let's talk about those CD changes, okay? Because it's absolutely busted. So I think, in essence, you have your hook on a 2-second cooldown when you hit that, okay? And you keep having it. Now, the main problem I see with Thresh most of the time is the fact that people feel like he's still disengaged champion. But that's not necessarily true. The reason why we play Thresh nowadays is because he's a healer and he's a champion that allows the AD carry to reposition with the Lantern. Now, what you need to do with this hook is that you flay them away, you hook, you have that on 2-second cooldown, and you just keep flipping it around and you buy more space for your AD carry. And those 2 seconds are really important. The problem that I see with Thresh most of the time is that he's not reliable engaged. Those hooks, they are not landing on the enemy AD carry. They're landing on the frontliner and they're landing to make sure the AD carry can play the game.
And to add to that, if you look at the one win, right, that we saw, there was Mickey Thresh. I think the key thing there was the fact that they had tools to start fights. They had the Malphite going, the Javan ult going, and Thresh wasn't in a position where he needed to start the fights going. He was the cherry on top of a very beautiful Malphite Javan cake. And I think the key thing about Thresh is just leveraging the Lantern gank and really pressuring the enemy with Hex Flash and being able to be in that rhythm where you dominate the bottom side. It's so important to be able to lock in a stronger AD carry. Draven together with Thresh into Xayah was perfect. And I think that's how you play out your dream Thresh game.
And just for the record, rank 16 right now on the Korean ladder plays a lot of Thresh top as well. So for you solo queue enjoyers out there, OPGG on towards the Korea, FA space Addy, ADY. This guy plays a lot of supports in the top lane. Now you're used to that, what's it called, the enchanters, but he gets the Rakan, he gets the Thresh. So go out there on the internet and get inspired.
Do not do this.
Do it.
Please.
Rank
Also,
16 on the Korean server, he's good.
Respect what's
Hold on,
left of solo
again,
queue, please.
they don't know what 16 is.
What have they counted to so far?
Well, they went to 69
How are they
after the
doing?
number 4, so I just don't really understand.
What does that mean?
Summer of 69. Oh, we're in
All
spring.
right, League's Edge's casters taken away with the new members.
We're in spring split.
I've always wanted to do a music video, so this is great.
No, I guess this is a start. We have cameras on us and a game is happening.
Yeah.
Thresh is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's ballads about it.
Help us segue to something different.
Yeah,
because I'm
please.
just stuck on the singing note that we did.
Respect solo queue, please. What's left of it, at least. Just a reminder that if you're joining us right now, you're experiencing some client issues on stage before Vitality Excel. League officials are working in getting the players into the lobby as soon as possible, which gives us time to see if Twitch chat is counting the way
now
they
they're just
should.
saying nice.
They're just saying nice. Okay, that's great.
I think game delay
Settings?
should be sponsored, no?
Honestly.
That would be.
Production, please.
I feel like that would create some problem with the interest.
Oh,
there,
you know what?
but-
You could do like weighted blankets, right? Like a weighted blanket spawn because it's putting
That
everyone
is
to
actually
sleep.
really good.
Right?
I have one at home.
And then
It's
instead
amazing.
of talking, no, they're great.
No, they're great.
Instead of
Really.
talking, we could just all have a weighted blanket and then just sleep.
Okay, but
Bench?
you are from the LFL. You guys build dog houses and stuff. Why have you not pitched something we can build right
That
here?
is something that I've been pitching a while ago.
Yes.
Actually, the fact that if you guys
Bring
don't
in
watch
the
the
IKEA
French stream,
furniture. Where's Finn?
we built a dog house usually for one of our casters to sleep in. Could be Ender in our
Oh,
case.
with the weighted blankets.
With the weighted blanket,
It's all coming
actually.
together.
But yeah, no, but that's something I was pitching the LEC actually. The fact that we should actually build something when we have to stall for time
Social
like
media,
this.
guys. That's where you change the
time.
things. Just keep adding them. Like build a doghouse, build whatever. You come in with the ideas. Make it easier for us.
Oh, there's like League of Legends Wordle, LOL.
Yeah.
Oh, we could do
That would be
LOL.
fire. That would be fire. Just saying, if it's gonna be a while, maybe we can cook
Something we
something.
can
I like that we've
for later.
hijacked the stream and we're just like trying to enforce our producers to do all the
We're
things
just like,
that
we
we
want
want.
to do content. Let's do a little bit
We're
of
just
We
content.
don't
bringing
even
it
have to
out
do
there.
next week's storyline meeting. We can just do it now.
Taking production hostage right now.
I think we need to see the games how they play out.
Oh,
Excel versus
But
Vitality
we
is
already
super
have
exciting.
one. Yeah, we have one game. We can take. We can prepare the next one.
All right, hold on, GB, because I feel like you might have something for us. Because you were telling us all about the Samira a little while ago. Do you have some solo queue tech or some champions you want to sell us on?
He just
right
did.
Now? Yeah, I know, but like a
lane.
real champion, not supports top lane.
Yeah, well, this can be played top lane as well. But Emax Nautilus is the newest stonks that there is, and it's legit just so great for solo killing enemy AD. It made me get master, and I will have you know that I'll just say this right now. My win rate, that was negative.
Okay.
I started playing Emax Nautilus, 74% win rate, on towards master immediately.
I have something that is actually serious.
Oh.
Against Ashe.
Oh.
Which is an unbeatable champion. How about Xayah?
That sounds
I
very
love
good.
it. Xayah
Unironically, I think
It's
it
a
would be a
great
really
duo.
good lane, champion in lane against Ashe.
Xayah is a really good champion. She brings a lot of value. She's
And after 20 minutes, she's
I
completely
think
useless.
Xayah
But
into Thresh. Now that's something I believe in.
Yeah,
it's
but then you have Heimerdinger already.
It's Heimerdinger 2.0.
it's one of the natural counters. The issue is that the plant's durability compared to Heimerdinger is not the best.
and they
That's
both
true.
have a dragon skin.
You know where the plant durability is good though? In the jungle. Okay.
Mighty jungle.
Ages ago. They made it.
I don't know if this is is it a meme or are you serious?
No, I back in the day, I tested some Xayah jungle. It's pretty sweet.
Okay.
It was really good.
You
It
take
was really
Hex
good before.
Flash, yeah, so you can get over walls. That's the only way to gain because you have to Hex Flash out at them. It's pretty good.
Nice.
So you like maybe Predator and you just run at them instead.
I did play a little bit of Predator with it. Yeah.
Right.
I liked it. That was the meta back then. But also like Morgana jungle, not as bad as you think.
It used to be good when Rumble jungle was
Yeah.
good MSI. I think it was 2 years ago.
Look, it's not terrible, okay? Like, he was selling you on sports top lane. Sports can be played everywhere. It's kind of like 80 carries, you know? They're just better in every role besides AD.
Okay, but the reason is also because we came into this position where we had like these range supports that was super good, right? And then the first approach we had was like, okay, let's try and make the melee supports better. But that didn't really change it out because the problem was always the early laning phase when you're playing these champions. Now, this is not the problem we have right now, but on 13.5 that we will be moving to, now the range supports are finally getting nerfed, but you're now sitting and looking at all these buffs melee supports. So the stocks for these melee supports are just so much out there, and that's why if we start seeing them in solo lanes, it's because of some of the impacts that we had in this. So it's like, it's not only just a buff, it's also a bigger buff because now the thing that was good before gets nerfed. So yeah, but I mean, Yumi's also a thing, so
No. We don't talk about Yumi now. We have like a good 3 week breaks off Yumi. She will come back eventually because it looks to be freakishly strong in solo queue. But yeah, for now in competition, I think we're safe. No, we won't talk about Yumi right now. But the win rate is actually higher now than it was before the champion was reworked.
Yeah, she's also more boring now than she was before. So there's no incentive to ever go out. Yeah.
Yumi, I think they've made it a lot easier to play.
Because it was really hard to play to begin with.
Honestly, there's a big difference. There was a big difference between Korea and Meiko playing Yumi, which is Yamato didn't ban Yumi, but going out and trading and using Eri was actually like a thing.
Is this a fairy possession we need to have here? Like, is there something you want like,
to air it all out?
Yumi, you can get it out now. This is the time.
I'm just saying, I was Lucian, Nami, Azir, Gragas hype train before everybody else.
Right.
And look at me now. Look at me. I'm on the
He's
Analyst.
on the Analyst. This is where the big boys hang out.
Look at me now.
Lucian Nami, by the way, now that you mention it, something that we won't see so much, hopefully, coming into this split, was described as a bait by the end of winter. I know that the LCK is still a heavy enjoyer of Lucian Nami, but take on this duo right now.
I think the main issue is just Bloodthirster. It's like Bloodthirster, overheal, poking is not really relevant anymore.
Revitalize as well as secondary. You can go conditioning.
You're a tank.
Bruiser.
You're literally a tank and you can't get poked. And the Lucian Nami didn't like tanks that much. I think a lot of the matchups were always contested, and Lucian Nami was kind of a scaling pick where you just got more gold because you leverage first strike. But if something is disrupted in the game, it becomes a lot harder to play. I think we saw something similar with Caitlyn and Lux too. Not a lot of teams in Europe were actually playing Caitlyn Lux because if something goes wrong, you are going to be in big trouble. So I think those fragile bot lanes, I still believe we're going to see a lot of Kate, but maybe together with the Heimerdinger more often because that champion sometimes makes it through draft.
All right. Well, again, reminder that if you're joining us, we have some client issues on stage before Excel versus Vitality. And while we're waiting for players to get in the lobby, Sjokz save us from this madness that this desk is becoming. Take it away.
Thank you. It was really fun, but this is also going to be fun. I have Swiffer here with me. SK is playing Fnatic later. But yeah, you had someone who couldn't get into the game as well, right?
We did.
What was going on there?
It was just a client error.
No, I mean when DOS had the caps lock on.
When DOS had the caps lock.
Yeah.
Right. No, well, that's actually happened multiple times.
Ah.
Yeah. We forgot by the third week that the password hadn't changed, so yeah.
Okay.
It was just a little lapse in judgment.
All right. I'd just like to repeat that because it's not always like a server issue. Sometimes it's just a player issue.
Sometimes it's just, it is the place.
It is.
But,
So you're playing Fnatic today, and you had a great start yesterday. Team fights were really, really impressive.
Thank you.
So what's going to be the approach versus Fnatic? They are down, kind of.
Yeah, they do look a lot better than they did last split, though. The plan, I mean, hopefully we win an early game, right? That's the plan moving forward. Put a bit of work into that, so hopefully it pays off. But yeah, if we're not able to do that, then we're just going to fall back to good old team fighting. Seems to be the tried and true method. So yeah.
Pretty important in League of Legends.
I would say so.
I would say so.
It's our top 3 things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting into the game.
Top one,
probably.
I would say.
Talk to me about Fnatic then. You said you have a better impression of them. I'm reading between the lines, scrims then in some regard. So what is it or?
No, we didn't scrim them because
you're playing
week
them.
1.
That makes sense.
Didn't scrim them. But just watching from the game that they played against Excel yesterday, a lot more proactive, like early game. Like at least, the mid game looked like a lot more stable and everything like that. So it looks like they're a lot more cohesive than they were last split. So whatever they're doing, it's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 goals for SK in terms of what you as coach want to see improved from the team?
Okay. So it's mainly the early game, right? That seems to be like where we're struggling the most. So trying to like figure all that out, flow of communication, everything around that. The like long term, that's really like the main thing without giving too much away. Yeah. The main thing for us again is just to always do better than the split before. So
boring.
Yeah, I know. I'm very, very good at PR apparently. Thank you.
Do you know any league related jokes?
Oh no. Do I know any league related jokes? No, actually, you know who does? Xerxe
Really?
knows league-related jokes.
Do you want to send them to us after?
Yeah, I could.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I think I have one, though.
Okay.
Okay, Lee Sin walks into a bar.
Okay, Lee Sin
and
walks
into a chair.
Yeah.
And into a table.
Oh, okay.
And, okay, you see, because
I've got it. Yeah, I got it.
What do you think about Lee Sin right now?
What do I think about Lee Sin?
Segue.
Yeah, this is not the interview that I expected. What do I think about Lee Sin right now? I think he has a place. Is that place in the LEC? We shall see.
Great. That was a great last note. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Back to the desk.
That was amazing. Thank you, Sjokz, and thank you, Swiffer. I want to talk about the standings and the teams also, because segue into the discussion that Sjokz was having here. Question I have for you, who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise this split? Who do you think is going to be the biggest disappointment this split? Who looks to be the most overrated team this split? And yeah,
is this like
elaborate on this, please. Okay, biggest surprise this split. First.
You know, this would be bold, but just after maybe
after one game.
After one game.
Let's overreact a bit.
So when I'm thinking biggest surprise, I'm looking at the place where no one has expectations, so you know it's gonna be a surprise. I think Leader could be a big surprise. See, you said Astralis. I think Leader was playing Ryze yesterday. He was playing evenly matched against Larsen in the mid lane. Like, KDA wasn't perfect, right? But he was great for Astralis in that game and actually had Prior to move around with. Leader could be a big surprise. Would he be the biggest? I don't know. Astralis was on the list and I immediately went to them.
Hovering some Yasuo, Irelia, Yone before picking Ryze. Yeah, I'm really happy to see Leader back in the league, by the way. Yamato, biggest surprise of the league?
Oof, I'm a bit... I guess Mad Lions, they need to figure out what's going on, because I think 2 drafts that they played were kind of hard to play.
Yeah.
I think that they don't seem so sharp after the finish. There was a rough best-of-5 that they played against G2, and then I assume they took a break, and I wonder how they're going to bounce back, because I always bring back the same points, like how do you figure out your momentum, because they have a game tomorrow, and what's going to happen if that game plays out wrong? All of a sudden, you need to squeeze so much out of 3 days of practice, and that is a difficult thing to do. So it's always interesting to see how that plays out, because even though there's so many more games to play, I think the standings can maybe sometimes tell a story of how things are going to develop, and it's a true test of how you're going to manage those expectations, especially when you look at the teams around them. Excel picked up a win, Astralis picked up a win, and all of a sudden you might be in a position where you're scraping for wins, and the mentality can shift completely when you're in a do or die situation.
And there?
I mean, I might go with a negative surprise here. Well,
All
first
right.
of all, I think our bottom 2 teams are going to switch up. I've got a little bit more faith in Excel this time
Even
around. We'll see about
Fnatic?
Fnatic. We'll see about Fnatic. You know, they've only played 1 game, so too early to say. But I think that mainly I want to see some progression from Team Heretics, because I'm a little bit concerned about the team. I think individually they all showed a lot of very bright moments, but I think team-wide had a bit of a... They really struggled when it came to like early game team fights around objectives, and especially in late game situations. One thing I appreciated was it seemed like they were all very much willing to get on the same page and commit to calls. But you saw from like the very questionable like base race decisions or heading to a Drake when Baron's coming up, these sort of situations in the late game where they made a decision as a team, but it was not the right decision in the moment in the game. And I don't know if that's just poor calling or, you know, maybe there's a bit of a communication barrier there where it's like, you know, it's hard to have an argument about, you know, maybe going for a different decision. But yeah, basically I want to see smarter team-wide playmaking from Team Heretics if they're going to continue to do well in the LEC.
I want to add to that point too. I think a common issue I feel with teams like Heretic, and I see this a lot on the ERL level too, is that when it comes to the mid to late game, everyone, if you try to think of how you want to contest mid, it's not necessarily that you want to put bodies on mid, it's more about that you want to build vision around mid that allows your AD carry to pressure the wave without having players around you. So basically, you create a vision pattern that forces the enemy to show on that vision pattern, and through that information, you're allowed to push side. And I think the main thing that Team Heretics always do is they show 5 people on the mid wave. And when that happens, the enemy solo laners are stealing the side waves, and they're left always playing catch-up. And they're there bleeding waves, and in reality, they need to play in Fog of War. They need to let Jack Spectre, for example, be on the wave, and then they need to be in river after they've controlled it, and then collapse on the solo laner that is taking that neutral wave. But this just never ever happens. They're just showing on the mid wave. Of course, we've only seen 1 game, and that was against G2, and they were getting slaughtered. So maybe there's more to show.
Okay, I see an opportunity to cast this.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could do all of those things, or you could just throw tennis balls around.
I thought it was my head is like a tennis ball with my haircut. So I thought it was an
We're not throwing you around. We don't want to damage any of the contents inside your
it's
tennis
empty
ball.
anyways.
What is it actually? Like some... I don't know.
What's what?
No, because when you see like players and teams like play stuff like this backstage, usually it's like some not team building, but like some focus.
Well, a lot of times it's like
like
performance coaches will run these types of things. I know like it's like some like reflexes things, just getting the blood flowing before a game as well is like fun stuff.
I've been watching some Drive to Survive, and I don't know.
The new season?
Yeah, the new season.
Advertising, by the way.
I don't know anything about Formula One, but I really like the warm-up exercises.
He keeps calling VIT Max Verstappen, and
I think they have similar characteristics, but let me tell my point, please. And they have this, like
Tell
this
us
game.
in chat if you think that videos looks
A little bit.
Verstappen,
Look at the cheeks, yeah, cheeks and mouth. But nevertheless, they have this game where like there's green lights and red lights, and I think that
the Squid Game. Yeah, I watched that.
Okay.
Just say you talk then.
Time out. I hear that Quickshot would like to play some games with the fans, so over to you guys.
That's better, I guess.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, welcome back to the Costa Desk. Quickshot and Dagda here.
He's been having a tantrum.
Just joining us. I have to give a huge shout out to the fans here in Berlin who have had such high spurts and such high energies, except for one guy, Johannes. He's a bit of a dick, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Before we get to it, I do want to remind everybody, unfortunately, we are experiencing technical difficulties with our server and our client here in the studio. So while our technicians and our league operations team are working on resolving that issue, we are going to play some games. Just before I jump into it again, and Dagda, I'm so sorry, you're just going to have to listen for a bit. Yeah. The tennis balls throwing back and forth, it's actually something that I've learned through both sports therapy as well as just by therapy itself as well. What they end up doing is it's a hand-eye coordination exercise that switches off your brain. Because you're so focused on catching the tennis ball, you forget about the stress, you forget about the pause. So it's a really good mental reset. The reason I wanted to explain that, why I was itching to jump in there, is I'm going to do a mental reset with hopefully everybody here in the studio and the fans at home. Now, I'm going to ask my production team to find Johannes in the audience. It's a gentleman in a Mad Lions hat and a Mad Lions jersey, because at the end of the game, there, Johannes, put your hand up for me. Put your hand up for me. That's him, right? At the end of that Mad Lions game, I asked Dagda if Mad Lions sucked. And Johannes took that personally. He came over to me. He wanted to start a fight. He's like, bro, don't give me that.
Squaring up to him and everything,
Listen to the noise, they're laughing. So I'm challenging him to a rock, paper, scissors, best of 3 for Mad Lions honor, all right? So now, production, I'm going to need cameras.
I'll referee this one.
Can we get 2 cameras? Yeah. Is it possible? Yes. So, Johannes, look at where you are on the camera. Look at the screen there, right? The way this will work, Dagda's going to ref, Dagda's going to call it. We throw on 3, so it's 1, 2, 3. Okay. Throw rock on your first one. Okay. All right, Dagda, you set us up.
You ready? 1, 2, shoot.
Oh, okay. 1, 0, 2.
So the problem is, Quickshot said he's not allowed to lose, so this is now best of 5.
It's a best of 5 now.
Yeah, just as a heads up, I've been told I'm not allowed, so yeah. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, go.
Okay, wait. Yeah, on go, we throw.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, shoot.
Oh!
He's smoking you. He's destroying. Okay. All right, reverse sweep. Reverse sweep.
This is the reverse sweep.
I do think he's in your head, though. I'm just going to say it. So, 1, 2, shoot. Oh. 1, 2, shoot.
Oh.
1, 2, shoot.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
2-1. The reverse sweep is
on. The reverse sweep is coming. Okay. 1, 2, shoot.
Yes!
Oh!
2-2.
What?
Also, we did not script this. Okay. Final one. This is for Mad
Take your
Lions
time. Take a breather.
Okay.
Take a breather.
Right.
You got this.
You're not in my head. You're not in my head. You suck, bro. Okay. Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Poor lad just wanted to come to the studio today.
Okay.
1, 2, shoot.
I formally
got destroyed.
I formally apologize to Johannes and to all Mad Lions fans. Yeah. Congratulations. That was really
Give him a round of applause. That was brilliant.
I will say as well, the whole time we were in pause, I was just yelling at this crowd and just trying to egg them up and specifically picking on him. So thanks for being a great sport.
Yeah, we did also practice something else during the
What did we
pause,
practice?
though. We had our wave.
The wave.
So we have to wave. So I want to see, because I'm going to pick someone out here.
Okay, wait.
There's a person with an I love Yumi sign in the crowd. I don't know if we can get onto her on the left-hand side.
Oh, just hold
this person here on the left is going to be my person that as soon as I start this wave, you have to follow. You're the point lead on this, all right?
Also, just before we start, Berlin, what do we think of Yumi? Okay, that's a bit of a mixed response. I do need to warn production. We're now going to do a wave across the entire audience. So I think we might need to get a high wide. So we're going to go for the wave here, all right? We'll see if we can get the camera ready. I think it's just been set up. So Dagda, the floor's yours.
All right, you ready? All right. I love Yumi. Are you ready? Give me a thumbs up. All right. 3, 2, 1. Yeah! And can we get it back? Can we get it back? Can we get it back?
Backwards, go backwards! Oh! Okay.
That was actually pretty good.
Okay, wait. I am just hearing. Hold on. Okay, play another game. Vote for who's favorite.
All right. So I want to hear who thinks that Excel will win. Oh my! Sorry, let me try that again. Sorry, I think my mic cut out there for a second. Let's try that one more time. Who thinks Excel will win? There we go.
But what about the other side?
Yeah. All right. Who thinks Vitality will win?
Yeah, that's pretty favorite. That's pretty favorite.
More, yeah.
I do have some good news. Fortunately, I can tell you that not only is the game lobby up, myself and all 10 players are in the lobby. I am hopeful that this will start and will work. So in the event that it does, Dagda and I will now reset and we'll get into like pre-match mode. If we have any more problems, we've got a few more games lined up our sleeves. Before I do though, Berlin, I just want to say thank you so much. You guys have been amazing. To everybody watching at home, thank you for your patience. We truly apologize about the technical issues that we are encountering. As mentioned, both our server and client were having some problems, which we are hoping are resolved. We're going into drafts! Nailed it! Welcome to Picks and Bans for our second game of the day. Excel taking on Team Vitality. Both of these teams picking up wins yesterday, and Perkz' Aurelion Sol is the first champion on the chopping block, not allowing that through. What is still up? Ash and Annie are screaming out to me.
Yeah, and in a meta where rock beats paper beats scissors, you really need to try and get these off the table. I imagine that you're going to get probably the Annie ban, by Excel here, but actually going to go for the Varus. So guaranteeing essentially that one of these power picks is going to be open. So now the big question for Vitality is, do you still ban Ash? Do you still ban the Annie? And just kind of make sure that you're at least only giving one through, or guarantee one for yourself. But it looks like it should be probably the Annie selected here. But Patrik actually going to go over towards the Caitlyn.
Okay, so Patrik playing Caitlyn is a denial from Upset for yesterday, who I might go bold and say that Upset's Caitlyn was the first good Caitlyn that I've seen all year in Europe.
Yeah, I agree.
And Patrik is throwing the gauntlet down.
He clapped folks on that. Absolutely looking fantastic. And one of the big things as well is, because you're giving this Annie over, Annie doesn't like compositions that have a lot of long range in it, because she's very flash reliant and trying to get the CC down. She also doesn't have a huge amount of range in her kit. So if you're going to put her down into the spot lane, it actually becomes a little bit of an issue where you don't actually have the range to try and match the Caitlyn. So chances are this could be going towards Perkz in the mid lane, but we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is.
So two interesting things about this. Xayah and Annie locked in. I want to highlight that for Patrik, with his over 220 games, he has only ever played 8 professional games on Caitlyn, of which he has won 3 of them. Okay, so that's already a risky start. For Kaiser, as far as I can tell, this is his first ever Annie, if that goes to his hands, because Perkz could run in the middle lane, which is what we're seeing predominantly from the LCK.
Yeah, and now we're going to have to see exactly what the rest of the plan is, because as you were saying, look, Annie could go mid, but I think you've also got the opportunity to go for something like the Elise in the jungle. The problem is you don't really want a Annie and an Elise trying to set up through that mid jungle. It's a lot of AP, makes it very easy for the runes to come through where you can defend that. So I'm curious now if you actually do get to see the Annie go into the bot lane. The Elise comes out and goes, okay, well, I'm just stronger in a 3v3 that we can set up on bot side against something like a Maokai, and then we can actually play in to deny the push from the Caitlyn and make her useless in these early laning phases, if Vitality are thinking that.
What do you make of the Annie into Caitlyn Heimer? Oh, there we go, now it's confirmed. Perkz Annie in the middle lane, Xayah Rakan in the bottom lane, so jungle pool could get hit, as well as potentially mid lane pool, as you can see Victor already banned away.
Yeah, I think if I'm Excel though, I'm targeting the jungle pool, right? You've already got the Vi gone, Maokai's taken. I think you do ban the Elise, just to talk, talking about that potential to set up for the play on the bot side. Also maybe looking towards something like a Wukong as well, that could be quite strong, especially with that setup with the Rakan. But I'm curious to see exactly what the game plan is. Jarvan as well, actually incredibly strong at the moment, probably going to be one of the higher bans here.
Now, one of the things you do have to keep in mind for Xerxe's Maokai, that huge AoE engage, as well as disengage, is going to be very, very impactful. Obviously, Upset on that Xayah will have that Featherstorm to be able to jump up and away, but Annie, Rakan, champions that really need to run at you, get into your face, that is a lot of tools they have to find ways around. We do see the Lee Sin banned away, and now Vitality, they pick another mid laner.
But I think that's the big one here. Vitality, yes, go towards the mid lane again, but I really like what Excel have as an opportunity right now, because if you look, everything that is on Vitality, you already said, wants to run into them. Well, you know, Caitlyn, great long range. Heimer loves when you run into turrets. Maokai loves when you run into his ultimate. He's able to provide CC. And I even like the Orianna ban here from Vitality. I think that was going to be the next big point that I was going to say, is like, Orianna, fantastic into Annie in the mid lane, and also just plays into, hey, if you're going to run into me, this is so much zone control coming through. So nice job by Vitality to identify that. But things like the Victor are still going to be there for Vetheo. Things that can still do relatively well, outranging Annie and keeping that zone control.
I mean, that Victor was banned away just a second ago. I think crucially the Elise was still open, and instead right now Bo's hovering that Sejuani. Range is something I'm already starting to see as being a potential problem. However, if Vitality get in range, the amount of CC, AoE, and burst is gigantic. And this is a fairly squishy roster that's been put together from Excel so far. But again, it's going to be a battle of who can control the area and who can ensure that their crowd control or their range is used to their advantage. Either Jayce or Cassio will fulfill both of those respective talking points and it'll be locked in the Cassio.
Yeah, I think the Cassio is great for that disengage still, but is going to struggle a little bit just because she's relatively shorter range compared to something like the Jayce. And already you had a lot of magic damage, so I thought they might go for the Jayce, but not actually going to be the case. Right now, though, you already can see the setup that Excel have. They're like, cool, we're going to play from range. We're going to absorb all this engage that you have in Vitality and make sure that then we can kind of kite backwards. So I think something like a Renekton here that is also enabled as players or teams are jumping into him is going to be fantastic.
I mean, Renekton will round out the composition here for Excel. Odo had a fantastic game yesterday, and just before we get this last pick, let's play a round of quick stats. When was the last time we saw a mid-lane Annie in the LEC? And this is not fair for a bro who's been here for like 7 weeks.
I mean, I'm going to 5 years.
3,000 days ago. It was played in 2013 by Alex-ish. Wow. That was the last time we saw a mid-lane Annie, and Perkz will be running it today. The final champion locked in, and we quickly double-check on my client. This may potentially be a problem. It was a Tryndamere, which I do not believe is correct. I can see the players have just dropped out of the lobby, and while I wait for league officials to confirm to me what is happening.
Back to rock, paper, scissors.
Hold on. Let's not go off the rails immediately, because I still am reeling from my defeat to Johannes. But there will need to be one last champion locked in. I can see the players have dropped out for now. I will give you an update as soon as I can. But yeah, mid lane Annie for Perkz.
Yeah, I think I like the flexibility that the Annie can give you, but I think what we've seen so far is that teams are able to kind of go look at it and go, okay, well, as long as we can play range and we're able to disengage, we should be in a relatively good spot against it. We've seen two very different styles from the Annie. I think Limit actually was one of the players that we saw playing far more aggressive on it, which I think is the way you should do. And if you look across at players like Knight and all this in the LPL, it's much more about, hey, I'm going to take whatever threat is on the enemy team and make sure I'm instantly throwing all my damage onto that target, whether it's a mid laner or an AD carry, to make sure they can have fun. But it becomes very difficult when that's a Cassiopeia or a Caitlyn.
Now, I have just heard that the final pick there from Vitality was a Jayce. So my assumption being that Photon will be running the Jayce in the top lane, Perkz will be running the Annie in the mid lane, and both of these team compositions have got like insane AoE CC abilities. They've also got a fair amount of range in slightly different ways. Obviously, I think I lean more towards Excel's composition in terms of overall team comp range. You cannot deny the power of those feathers as well as the accelerated shock blast from Jayce.
Also just gives a huge amount of burst to this composition. If Annie gets in on top of you, a full combo with Jayce accelerated shock blast over the top, even just the Xayah burst that can come through when she has some feathers down, there's a huge amount that can come through very, very quickly here. So I think we're already kind of seeing the way that Vitality want to try and play this. It's, hey, we'll set up early round objectives, make sure that we're playing around our vision, denying access from Excel into these choke points, and if you can catch them as they're trying to enter things like River, that's where you can make your stand. Whereas on the opposite side, I think trying to play through the fact you have these strong lanes like the Caitlyn, like your opportunity for a Renekton, if you can land that CC in the top side, find those early leads, and then start to snowball the game to the point where it's so difficult for Vitality to actually deal with the range that you have.
All right, thank you so much, Dagda. I will admit I missed the last 40 seconds. I was speaking to production. I have heard that the players will be quickly dropping out of the existing lobby, redoing the picks and bans off camera. And as mentioned, the final lock-in was Jayce. With a little bit of luck, if we have the manpower, I'd love to get the draft graphic on screen. Throwing production on the bus here, they are working through a lot of things. I have just heard it might be difficult. So I think we'll zoom out a little bit and maybe just focus on a few of the other elements. Let's talk about the fact both of these teams won their games yesterday. I think they won them in different ways, right? And I think specifically, Vitality just individually popped off, right? We had great performances from the bottom lane, Upset really showing off in the Caitlyn. He went 7-0-7. Perkz on Asol, he just had a bunch of free Goomba stomps with that Comet drop down, and there was no answer from Mad Lions. Conversely, I think Excel had to work for their win against Fnatic. It was a slower game. It was a little bit more even match in the early game. So this is going to be another big test both for Excel and also for Vitality to step up and show that winning ways.
Yeah, I think it was kind of hero performances on opposite sides of the map. I mean, Odo yesterday, phenomenal performance on the Cassante. He really did step up and was the carry for Excel in getting these fights into position where they could bring it back against Fnatic. As you rightly said, for Upset, he had a great performance against Vitality. And one of the things we saw from Perkz was, if this ASOL is given time to farm up against something like a Sjokz, where they're not really able to interact on side lanes, that's where you can start to have this ASOL become a big threat later on.
Yeah.
But I think a huge part of that discussion is the fact that Upset had control in bot lane. The fact that Photon had gone for the Darius in the top lane to control that. Now we have to see if a lot of these resources are going down at the bot lane to Upset, how does that affect Perkz? How does that affect Photon, who are getting a lot more of those resources when we look back at Winter Split?
Dagda, I need more bold statements. We've had a best of one. You didn't make a decision. I can let everybody know at home that the draft has been started. We're several picks in already. It is taking place off screen. I didn't make it into the lobby this time, unfortunately, so I'm not watching it. I can't give you a progress update on that. What I will say, though, is let's briefly set some expectations for early game. My hope is, once this draft concludes, we'll load up onto the Rift. When I look at Bo playing on Sejuani, when I look at Annie, when I look at the Xayah Rakan on the bomb, I see a lot of options. I want to know from you, who do you think there'll be more pressure on to maybe get that ball rolling first?
Definitely Vitality. If you're playing a composition that has to basically bulldoze their way through Excel, you need to be the ones that are getting off the bat early. Otherwise, Excel are like, cool, you're running into Cassio ult, Heimerdinger turrets, the big ultimate from the Maokai. It's so difficult to actually try and play out this game. So I think a huge amount of this pressure is going to be, Bo, see if you can get in towards Perkz in the mid lane. Great point to click CC, set you up onto this Cassiopeia if you can burn some of those early summoner spells, and then see if you can transition that pressure down into dives on bot lane towards Upset. You got great setup with this Rakan, and essentially just leave Photon to do his thing. He's against a Renekton, should be fine to just continuously push in that wave as long as the attention's elsewhere.
As long as the attention's elsewhere. Can Bo find the dive? Oh yes, we know that he can. Will he find the opportunities this game? That is what we're going to find out. Ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else, I can see Summoner's Rift loading on one of my screens behind the scenes. I want to once again apologize and thank you for your patience. Those technical issues that relates to the server and the player clients, the team is aware of them. They are working on them. And we are so sorry about the delay to game. I want to say thank you to everybody watching at home. I want to say to Berlin, huge shout out. Thank you for playing. Thank you for having some fun with me. And Johannes, you still suck, bro. We're going to hit the Rift in just a moment, as Excel will be taking on Vitality. And I love the setup there, Dagda. We talked about it from Bo. We're hitting Summoner's Rift at last.
And pause.
No, don't say that.
All right, Vitality trying to get into the bot side here. Heimer wants to try and get this deep vision so then he can actually set up for his turrets, and Vitality trying to read this, but Limit playing it very safe. So we'll have at least some turrets set up in that second bush, but going to be playing a little bit more defensive in the lane to set things off.
I know Kadril likes to talk about the skins quite a lot, and Limit, all I can say to you is you people are all too young to know the movie Mars Attacks, but for the 5 people who've seen that film, you will appreciate it.
There was one laugh that I distinctly heard in the crowd. It was like, all right, you're that crew. You got it.
I genuinely think nobody's seen the film Mars. Have you seen Mars Attacks? No. Oh my God. Yes. Thank you. There's literally 2 people. All right. Before I get too sidetracked, you can already see Patrik and Limit stepping forward, trying to set up those turrets. And as they trade back and forth, Patrik's a player that I'd love to talk a little bit about. He's playing the Caitlyn. He's challenging Upset, stealing that pick away. First pick. And when you look at his performances from winter to spring, there is an improvement.
But the big thing is, yesterday it felt like they were still getting a huge amount of pressure towards them, right? They were getting dove in the early stages, and despite the fact that they still did fall behind in gold and also in their CS, I think the big talking point is more so that this was a case of them being forced out of the equation by the opposition, but also being dragged up towards things like Rift Herald, where they were losing out on CS and trying to play for the good of the team. So I think we still have a lot to see from Patrik and Limit, how this new duo is going to face up. And now when they've got a very strong duo lane to try and play through, this is where I want to see that tested.
And of course, it's up against 2 players who definitely impressed yesterday, Upset and Kaiser. They're playing the Lovers duo as well. Bo just being spotted by that ward. Something to keep note of. A little bit of information to Excel, allowing Patrik and Lim to continue stepping forward while Perkz is threatening. And Incinerate, he's got that stun, got that Molten Shield as well. got the ability to press forward. And I really like this pushing lanes, pressure being applied, allowing Excel to get a little bit of vision set up, and Bo should make his way down to this portion of the jungle or the rift. And this is exactly what you talked about, looking at Bo's potential decisions.
Look at this, though. Managing to move in towards this bot side on towards Xerxe. So trying to get in behind the wards that he's now set up. Limit has spotted that there is no jungler. It's been pinged out, so they know this is going to be a bit of a weird one. They should be ready for this, but I don't know if they are.
I don't know if they are. Oh, no! Here comes Bo! Waiting for the Arctic Assault, and Limit is the first target. Don't run! We are your friends, say Vitality! And first blood to Bo. Patrick's got some damage going back. The turret's helping as well. Below 100, but he can't step into 3. And Bo should be able to escape with his life.
He didn't have a ward to set over the wall either, so Bo was able to escape. And again, Bo has been so good at finding these moments to work around enemy vision, knowing that you already had Limit moving in to get that vision down. So nice job from Bo.
And exactly like you said, can Bo find the gank? Can he find the dive? Extremely easily, Dagda. That will set up first blood to Vitality, a small gold advantage, a small CS advantage in that lane. We also caught a glimpse of Odo being jumped on. Kaiser and Upset now threatening damage onto Xerxe. Bramble Bash comes out, forces the flash, and Kaiser flies to safety. In what was a 2v3 eventually, Vitality get another summoner spell. Bo will not get vision from that ward.
And the problem here is that Perkz has had complete push in mid as well. So now there's an opportunity where if Bo wants to, you just try and set up for another play on towards his bot side with Perkz in tow. So River now starting to belong to Vitality. They just need to wait for that sweeper to come up on Bo to actually clear out some of the remaining vision that is there for Excel.
I mean, Vitality going to be happy with that bottom play. Bo still sticking around in the bottom lane. Perkz is taking a lot of damage from minions. Using the QW combo, he's running a little low. While that's going on, Bro has now started to step back and continuing to chase out Odo below 50. Yesterday, he got the solo kill. Cold the Meek brings him back alive. Photon bringing the hammer out, but not bringing it down because here comes the tree. Xerxe looking for a counter. Odo gets a level up. Mercurial hammer, the stun, the tower, the trade of 1 for 1.
The problem for Odo, though, is look at the size of that wave. You will be able to TP back in a couple seconds, but you're still going to lose out on a good amount of that wave, whereas Photon now can just walk his way back up, hold on to that TP as well. So really good job from Photon to get the trade.
Very nicely done. Small CS advantage, as you mentioned, +7 for now. Both teleports being expended, and Limit already roaming with that Heimer. Actually, you can see Kaiser going to be moving too. Stepping forward as Vetheo spits out those fangs, and it's another game starting out high intensity, lots of action.
Yeah, at the moment, I think Vetheo's doing a good job of trying to get control back of this lane. One of the big things about Anani is that she uses, as you can see, her Q to get that reset. Every time she kills a minion, you get the mana reset as well. So that's how she tends to push the wave. But if you can actually get her to trade very heavily and then heal up afterwards, her mana costs are surprisingly high and she'll burn through her mana pool. But now TPing back into lane, we'll have to see if Vetheo can once more keep that control with that level advantage as well.
He's down 6 CS for now. Those early stuns working out. Patrik, 90 caliber nets beautifully to safety. And Kaiser and Upset have got a pretty big wave that they're pushing forward. Just as we have a brief moment, I want to highlight Odo, as he will be the recipient of another gank. 8 KDAS, a 72% kill participation. I think crucially, those solo kills in the 1300 gold early game were crucial for Excel in their match against Fnatic. Right now, under threat. You can see the 2v2, the slice, the dice. Dominus buys some time, manages to find the stun, but here comes the little sapling. It'll pop on Bo, and Xerxe, only level 4, cannot commit. Odo, sorry bro, that was a cost of curse, gets taken out.
Poe's just been everywhere. Ban and bot now up towards the top side as well. And Patrik!
Oh, that was beautiful from Kaiser! The feathers flying! Kaiser gets dropped by the spanner. It's a 1 for 1, but the kill goes to Upset. And Perkz is level 6. Where's Tibbers? Holding on to it for now, not going to go underneath the tower.
Yeah, still, you can see the Perkz wants to try and get these roams off, trying to play down towards Upset like we talked about, and it's so unfortunate for Patrik getting caught out just in the edge. Perkz is walking back though. Limit doesn't know.
Oh, where's Summon Tibbers? Where's Tibbers? Drop down, the feathers out, and Limit will be taken down by Upset. Beautifully done. 5 kills to Vitality, 2 for Photon, and 2 for Upset.
And you can see Bo had even moved in towards mid lane to try and cover the push that Vetheo might have gone for, but Vetheo had actually left to try and cover that bot lane play, so you don't actually get a response where maybe you can try and push in, move towards topside or anything like that. So nice job thus far from Vitality, just outpacing Excel on the map.
And of course, what we have seen from a few games this spring, once the teams begin to accelerate their pace, and take control, you have to find a way to stem the bleeding. It's going to be another fight, 2v2 in the top lane. Hammer will knock Odo away. The flail comes out. Both junglers level 5. Arctic Assault into the accelerated shock blast, and this is just beautiful. Photon taking 2.
That's a lot of bleeding. That's a significant amount of bleeding that is now happening for Excel. I think they might have done the exact opposite of trying to bandage that. Even look, again, Vetheo trying to roam up towards topside. He'll be able to catch the wave, but Photon already firmly in control. Bot lane firmly in control. There is just winning across the board for Vitality.
I mean, if Jack Nicholson were watching this game, he'd say that Vitality have 2 out of 3 branches of government working for them, and that's not bad. I won't keep doing Mars Attacks quotes, I promise, but it was a great film. Vitality right now are shutting down the aliens. The opposite of what happened in that film. They're up 3k gold, they've got the Herald, they got 5 kills, and this is starting to look very scary because if that damage is continuing to accelerate ahead, this relatively squishy roster from Excel will just get blown up before they can start any fights.
And I mean, this is so good for Vitality fans as well. If you think about it, you bring in upset, suddenly you absolutely smash your game yesterday. Now you're coming in again today and looking absolutely fantastic. This feels like a newly revitalized Vitality, and you're going to have to see if they can try and keep this up now for the remainder of the split, because we got to see this at the start of winter, but they couldn't quite bring it the full way through spring.
They couldn't, and Vitality were unable to secure that dragon. I think a cheeky play from those Heimer turrets will be at least one of the objectives going the way of Excel. And that will be a small saving grace, delaying at least one of those win conditions from Vitality. But I think take a look at Upset. He's got the Herald in his back pocket. 4 members of Vitality were making their way towards that bottom lane. So, Dagda, if I were a betting man, I think they're going to look at that bottom tower. But once again, Photon is just dunking on Odo. He's plus 20 CS, he's got a 300 gold bounty already.
And the problem now is that you actually can't move in here to the bot side as Excel just yet. You still don't have control over mid. You're now being pushed away because Bo are in your the second bush here. So Vitality get the easy charge. You won't take the tower, but it's still now more gold going over towards Upset.
Yeah, small CS advantage, 1,000 gold lead. It's the 2 kills as well as those plates. And Upset again, having a very strong early match. I mean, yesterday, plus 700 at 14, plus 7 CSD on that Caitlyn. And with the help of Bo, let's not forget that fact, he and Kaiser have been doing a great job of controlling this bottom lane.
And it feels bad for Patrik and Limit. These guys were saying, hey, look, you've got a great matchup here. Should be able to push. Anytime they jump in, you should be fine. But the fact that you get Bo in early completely changes the dynamic. And now you can't quite step up because Upset does have so much damage that can pop out.
The thing is, in my head, I almost hold Patrik and Limit a little bit accountable because during the draft deck, you talked about some of the options, how Bo could, maybe wants to look down bottom, and they still got caught out once again. And this means that Vetheo stepping forward, he's still got that flash available to him, waiting for the prison, not gonna need it just yet, and Vetheo actually held on to his flash, so he survives that gank. Here comes Xerxe. Nature's Grasp is available, but not used, and this will at least hold the wave. It'll force Upset and Kaiser back, and Bo, with that ultimate available, there could be a fight.
You have to see if you can get Perkz down here as well. Bo has been separated, waiting for his mid laner to try to come down. Now, pushing forward.
Oh, that's the stun onto Xerxe, the trap, and all of a sudden Nature's Grasp buys some time. Look at the sapling going forward. Patrik sidesteps the feathers, and those traps not going to be enough for Bo there. These 3 members of Vitality winged a lot of damage, and they escape with their lives. Teleport. Okay, Photon was going top lane, so Vitality get away with their lives.
The trap from Patrik was so important there, though, preventing Kaiser from following up. That could have been a disaster. Now Bo will move back in towards River. You have Perkz who could try and move down if Xerxe overextends here.
Well, Xerxe's going to use that advance. Bramble Smash comes out, and Bo will back away. Xerxe steals the scuttle from under the nose of Bo. Another small win. It is still a significant advantage. 3,500 gold. Odo continues to be bullied. 2 plates already down. 30 CS down. And we're 2 minutes away from this next dragon. So I wonder whether or not XL will try sneak it or if Vitality want to contest.
Just a really interesting point. It's actually Gordrinker Jayce in the top lane, which is traditionally not what we actually see, but we usually go towards Eclipse. You want to look for the poke, you want to look for the plays, but it says to me that Photon is worried about having Odo and Xerxe just immediately dive in on top of him. So once that extra healings, which is going to be a bit of a weird one. I haven't seen this a huge amount, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it actually pans out against a front line where, in theory, Photon's going to get a lot of damage thrown his direction.
I mean, in terms of Photon as well, the fact he's got 3 kills, the fact he's this accelerated, 1,400 gold over his lane opponent. Similar stories pretty much across the board, 1,000 for Bo, just a minus 300 there for Perkz. This top and bottom lane has run away with the game. One thing that you do have to keep in mind, Vetheo is still relatively even. If he can find that Petrifying Gaze, if he can avoid those Shock Blasts, which will be a challenge, bearing in mind, Vetheo may be called upon to claw back some of these fights for Vitality, as we are 45 seconds from Drake, another potential 2v2 in the top lane.
XL need to find a way to disrupt the vision control from Vitality and getting towards objectives first, because if you have to try and find that win, it becomes very difficult with the control Vitality have.
Well, right now, Xerxe is going to take a Shock Blast. Minion Wave is chipping away at the tower, and Bo's just there threatening. Look at the bottom lane. Look at the bottom lane. Oh man, Limit, no flash available to him, and as Jack Black said in the film, die you alien shithead, taken down! As Perkz will assist another kill for Upset. And unfortunately for XL, they have no information, they have no answers, and they keep getting caught from flanks.
And now you have the top side pushing in as well. Photon and Bo going to make sure they get that one too. So Perkz helping out his bot lane, helping out the top. And yes, Vetheo will be fairly strong. The fact he's getting the CS and he's getting some of these turret plates, but it's just so small compared to the rest of Vitality.
And this is probably going to open up a dragon here. If Vitality stick around, do they concede it? Tibbers will finally get taken out. Patrick's got that Bloodthirster. Here comes Vetheo as well as Xerxe. Nature's Grasp is available to them. Instead, they're going to try sneak the dragon. Vitality have to know this. They have to have a feeling. All of a sudden, Patrik is in trouble. 90 Caliber is going to get interrupted. Forced to cleanse, forced to flash, stays alive just long enough. Kaiser's going to be the target as the dragon's secured there by Xerxe, the second of the game. Bo and Xerxe fighting in the river, and Kaiser's the first target as Vetheo. Twin Fang off the Twin Fang, knocked up into the air, but he will be taken down as Kaiser is dropped. Now XL running for their lives. They get the dragon, they get the kill, and that is crucial for their hopes in this game.
The fact they managed to sneak that is massive. Vitality want to try and play around vision at objectives. You know, 2 dragons, so you can essentially ignore 2 dragons that Vitality go for in the next 15 minutes, and you can actually start to make plays elsewhere on the map. Even if you're trying to look at things like Rift Herald as well, the fact you get that kill, you can get the quicker reset, but Vetheo even TPing into the mid lane to help secure that. This should be at least objective control still going the way of XL, and it's a nice start here coming through for Vitality, where Kaiser gets the knock-up, but they don't really have the follow-up. Patrik with a good cleanse, and then the ultimate over the wall from the Maokai, slowing Vitality's advancement. And from that point forward, there's very little that they can do. Even you can look, Perkz just doesn't really have the damage right now because his Rod of Ages hasn't stacked up.
And 2 thoughts about this one. Number 1, if that Flash and Cleanse is available for Patrik, you can see Caitlyn's kit can be problematic. They are not for the next few minutes. Secondly, Vetheo has been sidestepping a lot. He's been under pressure from Upset. There's been some pressure from ganks in the middle lane, and he has spat out the damage. So yes, it is a 5,000 gold deficit. Yes, it is a gigantic challenge to claw that back, considering the mid-game power of Vitality's composition. But if you believe in XL, you need to see Patrik staying alive in the fights and Vetheo dishing out that poison.
Right now, though, they need to try and cross-map for this. You really don't want them actually trying to trade. You need them to be moving down towards this side to look towards this tower on the bottom side. So then you're not actually playing towards the fight, playing around the vision that's already been set up for Vitality. Not really seeing that at the moment, though. They're still playing up towards this top side. Vitality get the objective. XL can't really contest, and they don't have the push in mid to lean into that bot side.
No, right now, Vitality with 2 towers to their name opened up the map. A level advantage for Photon. That gold lead continuing to spiral. The rest of Vitality in the middle lane, applying pressure. They're going to drop the Rift Herald. Perkz has got the flash available to him. He's got Summon Tibbers as well, and Bo also has the ability to just lock someone down with that prison, which he does. Photon shoots the shock blast over the wall, and it's literally shooting Excel spreadsheets in a barrel.
And that's the great example of what you need to be worried about as Excel if you're trying to enter in towards any of these river or objective areas blind. The amount of CC Vitality has is insane. We might get a tick too.
Oh, the quickness! The two-man knockup! The third-person charm! Excel are excellently eliminated in the middle lane. 3 kills for Vitality, and they just step back away. That was gorgeous.
They are slamming Control Z, hoping they can redo that, because that was not the way you want to play this. Vitality, that was so well executed. And again, if you are giving them the opportunity to set up like this, it's so hard for Excel.
I mean, look at upset. 404, opponent not found. Absolutely dominating once again. 2,000 gold is the bounty, but frankly, the entire team is coordinating well.
And Perkz 006, 1 assist away from you making another terrible joke. But Vitality, great setup here. Kaiser going underneath the tower, Limit the only one that gets to flash away. They're going to get mid tower as well. And again, Excel, trying to limit how much you lose versus trying to play the map state better and trying to say, hey, look, we can at least trade even and find our ways into a better position isn't really there. And I think that's why Vitality have been able to snowball this so effectively.
I mean, hey, well done on that one. Limit how much you lose. But Vitality have just had a fantastic showing. And I think when we were preparing for this game, I was talking yesterday about how individual players impressed me, and I want to see how the team coordinates. I think they ran away with gigantic leads. The way that you've seen Bo punishing Excel's lane positions, lane management, has been fantastic. The roams from Perkz, the roams from Photon. We're only 18 minutes in, and it has felt as though the mobility of Vitality as a team has punished every positional decision that Excel have made.
And it's actually why I've really enjoyed Upset coming into the team, because it feels like now as Vitality, you have 2 side lanes to play around. Perkz has traditionally started to tend more towards these supportive roles as he's continued on his career. So something like an Annie going to be fantastic. We see a very similar story from Caps on G2, right, with Malphites and Xerxe and all these weird kind of fancy picks. But it is the same idea. I am going to play for sides. I'm going to play smart on the map and make sure I'm covering so my side lanes can't carry. And we're seeing Perkz pick up a very similar role in this new Vitality as well.
And of course, when you look at the itemization that all of Vitality picked up because of the advantages they've accrued, they are just dominating. I mean, Limit is taken down for the 5th time this game. The Dragon is... I mean, we literally have golf claps in Berlin from just how easy that was to pull off. But look at the itemization differences. 1, 2 across the board. Photon just got that Mirror Mana completed. He's level 13 right now. 3,000 gold on Vitality's 8,000 gold lead is in Photon's hands. And now they're playing for Infernal Soul. So add a potential 4 Infernal Drakes to this high damage composition, and Excel will not be able to stay alive long enough.
What do you mean? It sounds so easy.
I mean, it's
great, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, you've got everything you could want, but Excel gonna try. This is a Hail Mary of all Hail Marys.
Do you know what a burger flip is?
Yeah.
This is a burger flip. Excel are inside, but do they have the time? Teleport's available for Perkz. Teleport's available for Photon.
Yeah.
Do they have the wards? They're making it. Oh no. Is it happening?
They did it.
They did it. Excel have snuck the Baron. Can they get away with their lives? Accelerated shock blast damage can come down. They do it. They've got out alive. That is a fantastic sneak. Vitality slow to the play, didn't have the vision, didn't react quickly enough. And look, let's not overblow this. Excel's still significantly behind, but this will be a great ability to pause or slow down the next few minutes.
And great understanding of the composition from Excel. Cassiopeia, Heimer, all this massive amount of damage that can be churned out immediately is going to take down that Baron so quick. And Vitality caught with their pants down. It was only like 30 seconds after it spawned, so really nice job from Excel. This will help them defend a lot of these outer turrets and buy them time in this game.
I mean, Excel were in the pit before Baron spawned, so they knew that was the play. Patrick's cleanse already used. That is very important. All of a sudden, Vitality start to apply deeper pressure. 3 towers secured. Now, I still think the odds are incredibly low as Odo is going to be the target of 3 members of Vitality. Quickness has been used, Dominus thrown down, the feathers out, the root is secured, the stun, and that's a new pair of blue suede dragon boots. Or crocodile boots, rather, for Vitality. If Excel want to claw this game back, they cannot keep giving up these kills. Patrik, no cleanse available to him. Photon's coming around. His Nature's Grasp will at least delay and slow down a little. Patrik still got the flash available to him, and Vitality, frankly, don't care about Baron buff.
Great stun from Limus. Uses the Heimer ult to stop the rest of Vitality from coming through the jungle, but still have to be careful because Perkz was hovering over the wall. That flash Tibbers could be very scary. Does buy the time to take top tower though, so at least Excel are getting something back on the map.
Okay, so 2 questions here. How do Excel claw this deficit back? And how much do you hold them responsible / accountable for being flanked from behind so many times this game?
Yeah, I mean, definitely that was not the call from Odo on that bot side. You don't have much vision in that bot side to make sure that you're spotting out where Vitality are coming from, or at least how quickly Vitality can make it down to that bot side. And even with the TP from Perkz, he's just completely caught out. The rest of XL, though, I think you just need to slow it down and trade smartly around the map. Next Dragon, 2 minutes. I don't care. If I'm on XL's side, I want to use that time to get mid-turret, to potentially set up a top tier, or tier 2 top take as well after that push. So try and get your wave set up now in the next minute, so then you're looking going, okay, we can start to slow build these waves. Like even look at how Photon's going to be pushing in this top side, right? As this wave pushes in, if you can freeze underneath the tower, start to create this small push, so then as this starts to come back out, you've already got these waves that are set up nicely for you to follow the push from up into these and then immediately follow, so you can follow towards the tier 2.
Try to keep an eye for me on the vision as well. If XL step forward, if they manage to get towards the river or even towards one of those outer turrets, I want to make sure they've got their defensive wards to avoid being flanked. Luckily for XL, both teleports are on cooldown for Photon and Perkz. Odo has his up, Vetheo will have his available sooner. And with the fact they got 2 early dragons, that actually is a crucial stall, timer, pause, in terms of how quickly Vitality can continue to accelerate towards a win. As right now, Bo is going to use that Arctic Assault, pull Xerxe far away. There's no support really from either squad. And with 50 seconds to Dragon, I think it would be a bold call if XL wanted to contest it. I don't suspect that they will.
No, you just don't have the setup right now. Cassiopeia is quite strong at the moment. She does have her 2 items fully completed and fully stacked, so that could be something. The BT and the Infinity Edge also pretty nice, but look at where Vetheo is. This is what we're talking about. They want to try and trade this for pressure on towards the tier 2, but without having fought for mid-prio first, they can't help Vetheo on the top side.
I mean, Veteo's got a 30 CS advantage over Perkz. He currently 0-1-0 level 16 as well, a 2-level advantage because he's just been left alone in the side lanes. This slithering snake is going to be crucial, maybe the only determining factor, as well as Patrick's Caitlyn. Kaiser was looking for the flank. While this is going on, the tower is defended. XL buy more time. Tower is under threat in the top lane. So the wave is now cleared out, and Vitality can step backwards for Dragon. Exceptional vision toggle from our observers. To show that XL simply cannot risk stepping into the darkness. As expected, they don't contest the Dragon, concede this one, and Vetheo may be able to pick up that tower.
I don't know if he will be. He actually didn't build up the wave enough, and Perkz is now up here. This is, well, actually just about be able to take it, but Perkz, whoa, just wide in the ultimate. Look at Kaiser, though, on his way up, and it looks like the rest of Vitality might be coming as well.
Teleport's available for Vetheo. Petrifying Gaze is available for him. Continuing to run for his life. Kaiser's only level 9. He cannot afford to get hit by those twin fangs. The quickness is dropped. The blue ward is dropped. The thumbs up is thrown. The knockup is there at Vetheo. Not going to be able to find the target just yet. He's holding on to the ulti. I'm waiting for how many members to get his stun, if at all. And Bo's just going to face tank this one. Finally will be taken out as Vetheo doesn't even use the ultimate. What else can XL do? They're catching some waves. They're putting some pressure. It is a 45-second death timer. Teleport is on cooldown, and Baron's up in 30.
Tried the TP out of there, so now that TP gone, this is where Vitality can reset and look to set up for the Baron. Odo trying to see if he can now make a cross-map play, get something on the bottom side, but Vitality starting to group around the mid lane, trying to see if they can push mid to get vision on this top side. TP from Perkz.
If you are XL, you cannot be in a position where Baron empowered minions are pushing into your inhibitor turrets and Photon is taking pot shots. 6 1-1, 3 completed items, 700 gold bounty. And right now XL, they're conceding Baron, they can't challenge it. Great split screen is that at least get in a turret, and I think they'll be forced to back away. Those enhanced recalls will put them under threat. While that's going on, Perkz is applying pressure to the top inner turrets.
And he should be able to get this, so essentially you're trading tip for tap when it comes to towers, but you now have the Baron in tow for Vitality. So this reset, Also going to give them the opportunity to start sieging up towards the mid lane as well. You're going to have Photon, who can also siege up on bot side. He's incredibly strong at the moment, so there's a lot of issues now for Excel in trying to keep this barred up Vitality at bay.
Man, they've got to be so careful. Excel are still significantly behind. 2 dragons apiece, 3 minutes until the next one. I think crucially, at least as far as Odo and Patrik are concerned, they're starting to claw back that deficit, but Upset's got a full item advantage. Actually, that's just been balanced out. Patrik now, Mythic as well as IE and Bloodthirster. Quick Blades, Gale Force and Bloodthirster for Upset. 5 members of Vitality are grouping up. Okay, team fights here. For Excel, they've got a lot of AoE. If they can survive the burst from Photon, maybe the Nature's Cross can turn around, but they're down in levels and they are still down in items.
XL are trying to get mid-prio, but Vitality are like, cool, we can still match with Perkz, and we're just buying space for Photon on the bot side, so they're not even looking to try and fight right now. It's just Vitality playing this map very well, drawing their line of scrimmage and saying, hey, look, now we've got bot turret, we can easily take over this jungle and then start to put pressure onto mid.
Perkz has got flash available to him. Bo is once again engaged upon. Patrik drops the trap. Tibbers comes down, cleanse, 90 caliber, and Patrik is running for his life. Xerxe is cut down in the jungle, and the hammer almost kills Limit. Odo's running for his life. The accelerated shock blast will not find its mark, but it is an easy kill. Now Kaiser gets chunked at least a little. Betfungaze is huge. The shutdown for Patrik is so pivotal. Can XL continue the hold? The petrifying gaze comes out, the feathers fly. Upset gets away with his life and holds on to the flash. Upset's godlike gets yet another. And Vetheo and Patrik are hurt, and they are running for their lives.
There's many runs that you can go for, but it feels like Vitality are just going to run you over anyway. Inhibitor in the bot side, they're going to go for the reset. I wasn't sure how risky they wanted to go, if they wanted to just try and go for a quick end, but they will respect it. And at this stage, XL, that bleeding is completely out of control.
I mean, the fact that they were even able to pick up some of those kills is really important, but they are consistently behind. This fight started out, I was very scared Patrik was just going to get blown up.
I mean, I like the idea from XL going for the pick, trying to see if they can contest Vitality as they go for Vision, but Vitality are already here. Then you're going on to the tankiest member, so it becomes very easy for Bo to tank up any of that damage and immediately escape, only to set up for Vitality who are collapsing from both bot and mid. This is the power of having that control with both the bot tower gone and that mid tower under pressure.
And of course, during the draft, that Xayah Rakan lock-in, the Featherstorm being used to perfection. Upset still has his flash available to him. And for anybody that's watched yesterday's game, Upset went 7-0-7 on the Caitlyn. Today he's 7-0-5. In these 2 games back on the LEC stage. 14-0-12 is phenomenal. And exactly what Vitality were looking for, I think, during the course of Winter Split. As a team, didn't necessarily look on the same page fairly frequently, and Neon, unfortunately, didn't really deliver similar impactful performances as did last year. I'm a lot more impressed with what I've seen from Vitality today, and they are once again looking to set up the flank. Flash is available. Tibbers is available. Patrik is in trouble. He's got no flash, no cleanse. Nature's gone berserk. Here comes the teddy bear. Let the feathers fly and destroy XL. 2, 3, 4 kills already, and the ace for Vitality. At 30 minutes in, it is done. XL have been beaten this entire time, and Vitality will look to close it out.
The wave is coming in bot side. They're just going to go and collect it. Bo tanking up the tower so everyone can get through, and they're going to be able to finish this one off. Vitality, a fantastic time here.
Unkilled Bo in the jungle. Unkilled Perkz in the middle. Unkilled Upset in the bot lane, and undefeated in the Spring Split. Vitality go 2-0.
Vitality look ruthless in Spring. Having Upset coming into that bot side, adding another threat to already what was a stellar team, is now proving very, very difficult to deal with.
I just can't get the voice out the back of my head. So many of the advantages accrued in the early game came from a member of Vitality walking behind members of XL, and I didn't look close enough at the wards, to look close enough at whether or not I give all the praise to Vitality or I blame XL.
The big thing for me is this is a team that feels like, look, I only knew here, it feels like top esports to me. It's a triple threat team. You can basically win through any three of these lanes, and the fact you know have Bo, who also is a fairly stellar carry jungler himself when the time fits. It feels like you have so many avenues to attack his Vitality, but you've also got people who are willing to take the back foot.
Yeah.
People who aren't are saying, hey, look, I don't have to be the carry this time, and that becomes such a big win for this squad when you have so many ways that you can actually play the game, so many avenues to find a victory.
Yeah, very, very interesting, very impressive performance to start out the day for Excel. On the other hand, simply didn't get away with it, didn't run away. That first pick, Caitlyn, didn't deliver today. If you're watching at home, Player of the Game nominees at LEC on Twitter. Photon, Bo, and Upset are your nominees. And if you have been sticking with us for the entirety of that delay, I will once again just apologize for the delays. As mentioned, those clients and server issues caused a big pause right at the beginning. That does get into players' heads. It does impact some of the decision-making, but Vitality handled it like champs.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that they came out looking as strong as they did is fantastic. I mean, Photon, Bo, Upset. It's very hard to choose who's going to be your MVP for this one. They have been absolutely incredible, and I think a real joy to see if you are a Vitality fan, because this is what everyone was hyping this squad up to be.
Yeah, definitely the case. Dagda, that does it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. For now, though, we're going to head to the analyst test to carry on with the show.
Thank you so much. Quickshot back here on this side of the studio, and we will have Perkz joining us in a few minutes. But GB, we were talking before things got out of hands, before the game, we were talking about overreacting rather about Vitality and how strong they were looking coming into the Spring Split, and they showed it again here today against Excel.
Yeah, really. I think yesterday was an absolute domination from Vitality, but I think I paced myself a little bit because I saw the draft and I said, wow, you guys were so intelligent in the draft that would really make it easy for you to play the game. And while it really was a stomp in game as well, it was day one, right? So you never really know how much you can go for an overreaction. On this day, though, once again, they continue with it, and in a complete different style than what we saw yesterday. They talked about a triple threat team on the desk. Yes, come in.
Come on, join us.
Hey, guys. Hey. Sit down, have a good one.
That was quite a stomp once again, Perkz.
Yeah.
Amazing game.
It was a good game. I mean, the only thing was we lost Baron.
Yeah.
They sneaked Baron, so the game...
It was on spawn.
The game essentially lasted 7 minutes longer because we couldn't get this objective. So they made us stall a bit longer, but I think our comp was also probably just stronger in late game, so we were not really scared. Like, I mean, I wasn't worried,
I would agree on that, and especially, GB, we were talking about Vitality and how proactive they can be. I want to hit on the draft quickly here, and especially how smart the Jayce R5 was here on the side of Vitality.
Well, in general, it's just super nice to have this long range into the range that you already see from the side of Excel, and it also just creates a different, lane you could play for, as we saw. I thought that Bo did a phenomenal job. He was always answering Malrung in the exact same position they were in. No, Malrung, sorry. I saw Maokai, and I thought Malrung, you know? Xerxe on the map in that regard. So yeah, really well played by Bo.
Perkz, any comments on the jungle top here this game and how hard they smashed the jungle top from Excel?
I mean, my teammates were all kind of smurfing.
Yeah.
So it was good. I was just there to be the support, the engage that we need, you know. So yeah, I'm really happy with how my teammates played. Photon with the solo dive.
Oh God.
And I think it's so great in this instance as well, because Odo loses the entire wave while he's getting ganked at the same time. So you trade 1 for 1, but it's just more beneficial. You can see it again. While Xerxe is up here, Bo is just in the right space every single time. And while Odo misses the E here, who makes the play even easier for them, I mean, it's so nice.
And that's the thing, playing reactive in this situation is not enough, I believe. Top jungle
Asian top jungle better than Romanian top jungle, confirmed here on stream.
God damn.
Yeah, confirmed here on stream. We've been talking, of course, about the return of Upset. Perkz, I wanted to have your take on this, having him join as a teammate, bringing in the team, because he was very vocal in Euphoria about the fact that he didn't have enough or much time maybe to scrim with you guys, given how fast he was brought in with the team. But yeah, tell me about working with Upset so far and what he brings to the team in terms of leadership.
I mean, we only had like a few days of scrims with him in the office before we started playing him, which is normal because this is usually like a spring split that lasts the whole time. So we basically made the change between the spring split, which is all right. And I think he's fitting in really well. Like, he's kind of what we needed in terms of bringing like leadership from the bot lane. Like, he knows exactly what he wants, what he needs in the game, and not only what he needs to be strong, but also like I was pleasantly surprised with like his general knowledge of the macro, for the whole team, like what the rest of the team needs to be doing. If someone is doing like a wrong move or lane assignment, I think he's super smart. Yeah, he's better than what I thought he would be, honestly. Yeah. So I'm really happy with the addition.
And this is something we've been discussing, GB, as well. The fact that bringing Upset in on the bot lane is going to give a bit more room to the rest of the map. And that's what we saw on top lane.
Yeah, actually, when I said that earlier, I thought it was going to be in a totally different context. Because, it's a new team. You already said it. You didn't have too much practice. So I didn't see that. In my head, I was thinking, maybe, okay, we just play fully bot side every single time. And the top lane matchup will just be individually 1 versus 1. And that's where Photon can excel because he can be better than the other top laners. But that's not the case. We're already seeing the way this can be a triple threat team due to the fact that we saw yesterday how heavy bot side it was played. We saw here how much it's being given in the early game. But it's not just so much about the fact that, we're only bot side, we're only top side. It's the fact that the pieces are actually being rotated around. And I think in this game specifically, a lot of credit has to go to you because you are very selfless on the Annie as well. The fact that you were willing to drop waves, go down towards that bot side, making sure that you get multiple sides of the lanes ahead was it was beautiful to watch.
And that's something I wanted to ask you, Perkz, of course. I know it's Leader who was talking about mid lane being not as useful as it used to, but more being a pivot towards other lanes. What's your guess on the state of the mid lane right now, and how do you see your role, especially when it comes to the different individualities you have within Vitality?
Yeah, I mean, usually the champions that are picked like early are like the strongest in the meta, and usually you see like the same couple of champions being played. Like for example, when it was like Azir, Corki meta and stuff like that, like when it's like heavily farm meta, like there is some metas where mid lane is like really strong, or like Sjokz, like Kali, when they're like really OP, right? But I think as of right now, and it's been for a longer time now, I think like last year and even last split, kind of I was playing a lot to just win lane, and I was focusing a lot on like giving pressure to my team by negating enemy mid laner from the game. But instead now I'm kind of changing up my playstyle to try to be more helpful to my teammates and less about me winning my lane, and kind of like me using my windows to get advantage from my team rather than getting advantage from myself. I think now I have the teammates to really do so as well. I think everyone is playing really well, and I feel like this is kind of my time to put my lane aside and kind of like help the whole map. I think this is the way to play. And sure, there are some cases where maybe I'll be farming a bit more and maybe I'll be playing for my lane. But as of right now, I just, I kind of want to do what is the best for the actual draft. Yeah.
So, LEC question here. Can I get your temperature check on it? Is this the best team you've had since 2019 then?
Yeah, for sure. I think for sure. Like, honestly, we are like doing also, this is not just like a fluke. We are doing like super well in scrims. And I haven't been doing this well in scrims in like a long time as well, right? And I think everyone is like kind of putting the extra effort now as well that Upset came in. It's also a honeymoon phase, so we will see how we do once we, start actually losing games, because we're not going to be winning the whole split or the whole year, like...
The split is short, maybe the honeymoon phase can last.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase can last probably the split, right? But it can't last the whole year or even longer, right? So we're for sure going to come onto our problems very soon, sooner or later, right? So it's just about knowing kind of that what we have is like, can make us a good team, right? So as you mentioned, we are doing well now, but we just started playing as a team. So we just have to keep going and not get complacent or not think we are good, because we're not actually good yet, Like we are just having these wins where, we're not bad, I guess. Stop talking now.
That's fine.
You're really, really good, actually, which makes me really excited about the G2 Vitality game coming next week. But that's the story for week 2. Perkz, thank you so much for joining us today. Congrats.
Thank you guys for having me.
My pleasure. On taking down Excel. And that's all for us here on this side of the studio. We'll be right back for game 3 in just a couple minutes. Fnatic versus SK Gaming. Stay tuned.
Alistar.
Yeah, Alistar.
He is good Alistar.
He's actually good Alistar, yeah.
Well, what the champion is Alistar?
The cow. Alistar.
Oh,
ding ding.
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, beef, yeah.
Yeah, beef.
Xerxe looking for a counter. Odo gets a level up. Mikula hammer the stun. The tower. The trade of 1 for 1.
I'm gonna flank. I'm gonna flank.
Can you come? Yeah, I can come.
Come.
Yeah, I can no TV.
No vision on me. No vision on me. Go.
Go.
Oh, the Perkz.
Nice, good job.
Vitality look ruthless in Spring.
Moving. When did we stop doing it? When did we settle for technology that keeps us still?
So move me, baby, like if nothing left to prove.
The Kia electric range. Technology that moves you. Kia. Movement that inspires.
Where legends have walked, and even bigger legends will continue to make their name.